Hey, welcome back. This video is entitled The Magic Word, and it's all about one word that you can say while you're speaking to a girl who's really close to you and who you'd like to get closer, and you're in that rapport and that sort of connection stage. It's all about one magic word that you can say during that conversation that will automatically and instantly create a strong emotional bond that will make her think that you are more than just a normal guy that she's met in a bar or wherever you met her. So during the stage of rapport, and if you've read my ebook, which I hope you have, if not, you need to do that, so check it out. But during the stage of rapport, you are about connection at that point. It's really about transferring emotion from one person to another. There's a whole section on this in my book. It's one of my favorite stages of the map of interaction, or the system that I created through taking other systems and sort of making them all together. On how to attract and build rapport and seduce and continue to have a relationship with beautiful women. And the rapport stage of this interaction is really the most crucial stage, in my opinion. It's the stage in which you become more than just a random guy. It's where she really invests emotionally into the interaction, and you can talk about some real stuff, which is really what I like. So during this stage, there's one huge mistake that a lot of guys make, and that is they say you when they mean I. And this is called the I perspective. And the magic word here is I instead of you. I kind of go into this a little bit in the Tao of Badass as well. It's a fantastic concept, and it really helps a lot if you can apply it. There's a man named David D'Angelo who has written a book called Double Your Dating. That is a fantastic book. I definitely suggest that you go get it. He gave me a tip one time that said, and I really like his model for this, so I'm going to mention it here, that learning is behavior change. It's not just knowing something. Knowledge is having information. Learning is changing your behavior. So you have to change your behavior from the way you're acting now to actually doing something different. So the way this kind of plays into this concept is that whenever you learn to use the I perspective, it doesn't actually help you unless you change your behavior and you actually start to use the I perspective when you're speaking to people. Now, this is one of the most powerful things I've ever used. You'll see instant and immediate results with it, and you'll see immediately that women are a lot more comfortable talking to you when you do get into rapport. The way this works is you got to start catching yourself, sort of saying it on accident. Catch yourself in every other area of your life. Don't try to just do this with women. And one of the things that I really stand by is that if you just try to change your behavior to talk to women differently, then when you do, you're going to screw it all up. The reason why is because you'll be changing the way you really are around them, and eventually they're going to see you speak to someone else differently, and they're going to know that your confidence is fake. So if you really want your confidence to be real, and the only actual difference between real confidence and faked confidence is whether or not you treat everyone that way, or you treat only certain people that you want something from that way. So this kind of goes again to the idea that if you are in a restaurant and you treat the service bad, well, it's very likely that you're going to treat whoever you're with bad eventually as well. Because we treat people with whom we feel have value, we treat them differently than we do people who we think have no value to us, like a homeless person. So what we do here, for the I perspective, is going to allow us to sort of connect with everybody across the board, and you need to practice it, not just when you're with women, but also whenever you're with anyone at all and you're talking. And let me give you an example of how to use the I perspective. So most men and women will say you when they mean I, and by that I mean they'll say, whenever you were over there and you were looking at that baseball game. Well, when you look at baseball games, they kind of remind you of when you're younger. Okay, so immediately what we're thinking in our heads when we hear that is we're thinking, do I? Does it remind me of baseball? Does it remind me of when I was younger? Do I really feel that way? And so what happens is we instill this idea that the person we're talking to needs to question constantly about what we're saying. And we don't want that to ever go through anyone's head. We don't want anyone to ever question what we're saying. And so when you're building rapport, it's important that they accept you completely and they're not constantly doubting and questioning what you're saying and whether or not it's true. Because you can't access your emotional brain and your logical brain at the same time because they work against each other. If your emotional brain is high and heightened, then your logical brain is deadened, and vice versa. So if you're asking them to question your words constantly, then they are logically listening to you instead of emotionally listening to you. So in rapport, of course, you have to build emotion, and so you have to be able to appeal to that part of their brain. So instead, you say the word I instead of you. So instead of saying, whenever you were over there and you were looking at the baseball game, well, baseball games kind of remind you of whenever you're younger. You would say something like this. Whenever you were over there and you were looking at that baseball game, it reminded me that whenever I look at baseball games, it kind of reminds me of whenever I'm younger. Now, this has no question. Did you see the difference? Did you feel the difference whenever I said to you, whenever you watch baseball games, and it reminds you of whenever you were younger, versus whenever I watch baseball games, it reminds me of whenever I was younger. That difference is massive. The second one, when I say the I perspective, you're just listening intently. You're open and you are receiving at that point. You sort of have your receiver gloves on and you're saying, okay, send me whatever you need. And everyone does this. So instead of saying you, try saying I. And until you see the next video, and even beyond that, I really want you to try to catch yourself as many times as possible saying you instead of I. And every time you catch yourself, I want you to make a little mark, a little note on a piece of paper, or you can write in the comment below how many times you did just in today when you were talking to people, how many times you caught yourself saying you when you really meant I. Go ahead and do that. Comment below and tell me what you think about this concept. It's a really brilliant concept, and I think it'll really change your life and help you in a lot of really great ways. So go ahead and comment below, like I said, and I will talk to you in the next video. Take care.